Let's talk about a field of corn. What exactly am I talking about? I'm actually referring to adults with hearing loss, particularly those in the higher frequency. This is the most common type of hearing loss in those adults and has a significant meaning in real life and everyday conversation. What does it mean in real life? Well, let's talk about a field of corn. I shall hold up, in turn, different cards which each illustrate differing degrees of hearing loss. Firstly, we have those with normal hearing. Let's talk about a field of corn. Those of you with normal hearing would hear each and every word quite clearly. No real problems there at all. Those of you, however, with common hearing losses, those high-pitched frequency losses, will experience difficulties according to the severity of your actual hearing loss. So, to start with, let's take a look at those with mild hearing loss. What you see on the card is likely to be what you would hear, not what you see. Remember that. Quite important. Remember that I'm actually talking about those with mild hearing loss, what you would hear, not what you see. For the record, I have spelt talk, T-A-L-K, as T-A-W-L-K, purely to illustrate my point, as you will see later in the presentation. As you can see, a person with mild hearing loss would more likely than not hear almost everything that was being said. No real difficulties. However, did you notice some of those omissions? Yes, they're the consonants at the beginning and the end of the words. This is because consonants have a higher frequency than vowels, and so therefore you miss them out when you are suffering from mild hearing loss. The vowels were largely intact compared to the consonants because they are not only lower frequency, but they're uninterrupted when speaking compared to consonants. Now let's take another look at the same sentence for someone with moderate hearing loss. What would they experience? As you will notice, almost all the consonants have now vanished from earshot. All you can really hear are the vowels and perhaps the first consonant at the beginning of the sentence. As someone deteriorates into even more severe hearing loss, this is what they would experience. This time, all the consonants have gone, including the word field, that might completely vanish from earshot, and what you're left with are a series of meaningless vowels. O, a, ow, a, ba, o. That's all you would hear. Remember, this is what you would hear, not what you'd see. What does this mean? Well, clearly, some sort of help is required, like a hearing aid. However, most NHS hearing aids only amplify the sound, in other words, whack up the volume to bring it within the range of your hearing loss. But what they do not do is replace what has been lost. This has been a common complaint. What have people lost? They have lost the clarity. That was the common factor. And particularly with speech, and even more so with the consonants, because they are those high-pitched sounds in everyday speech. Now, some of you watching this video may think to yourself, I've got a completely different type of hearing loss. This doesn't affect me. Or, I'm quite happy with what the hearing aid is giving me all I need. I don't have a problem. Fair enough. And no, I'm not going to argue with that. But remember that hearing aids themselves are not the complete solution. They only take you so far, and there are gaps in your comprehension of everyday speech. So remember this also, that hearing loss is progressive, or can be progressive, and it worsens and you go down into a downward spiral. And this downward spiral is the social isolation, which gets worse and worse and worse and worse, to the point that some evidence has been produced, some scientific evidence, to show that if little is done to correct this, cases of dementia can be quite significant in those individuals who suffer from social isolation. Hearing loss is not just a physical disability, it is also a social disability. I would argue perhaps more so than other physical disabilities. So, you're wearing a hearing aid that brings up the volume, but what can you do to help fill those gaps? Well, I for one would suggest lip reading, or learning to lip read. Why? Well, not so much because I myself am a teacher of lip reading, but also because I myself am severely deaf and have been from the age of 2. I was taught how to lip read as a child. However, teaching a child to lip read is a completely different kettle of fish to teaching an adult. But running through both types of lip reading, whether you be a child or an adult, is the fact that there are 5 principles which remain constant throughout lip reading. I refer to the 5 key lip reading principles as my lip reading mantra, and they are as follows. We have number 1, context; number 2, anticipation; number 3, mental tie-ups; number 4, facial expressions or body language; and number 5, concentration. I shall repeat those again so you can see my face. Number 1, context; number 2, anticipation; number 3, mental tie-up; number 4, facial expressions and body language; and finally, number 5, concentration. All our lip reading classes and lessons work around those 5 key principles. But there are other things involved in learning to lip read. Lessons, as well as covering consonants and vowels and sources of confusion, will also enable you to develop coping strategies to help mitigate against the problems of hearing loss. And the ultimate aim of learning to lip read, as well as learning coping strategies, is to develop and improve your social confidence and avoid social elephant traps. Thank you for watching this video. I hope this may have piqued your interest to discovering more about learning how to lip read, and perhaps see some more of my videos or attend some classes. Bye bye.